Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. I'm so glad you are. Good afternoon. And I have a question I want to talk about. It's been on my mind for a while. Do our leaders push dumb ideas because they genuinely believe them? Do they believe in them? Do they believe them? Or are they just telling the base what they want to hear? I mean, we've seen it happen. One day, our leaders are pushing for policies that make sense and are backed by evidence. And the next day, they're pushing some absurd idea that doesn't even have a shred of logic behind it. So why do these leaders do this? Is this because they genuinely believe in these ideas? Or are they just trying to pander? Or both? I don't know. It's easy to convince people something that's simple, even if it's not true. It's easier to do that than it is to explain complex issues that require critical thinking and nuanced discussion. And you know what? I'm done with it. I'm not going to fall for their empty promises and fake outrage anymore. And from now on, I'm going to treat politicians like I treat my ex-girlfriend. I'll listen to what they have to say, but I won't believe a word of it until I see some actual action. So all you politicians, stop treating us like we're idiots. We see right through your lies. And to all you voters out there, it's time to start holding these politicians accountable. Let's demand some real change instead of these empty promises we get today. Because at the end of it, actions speak louder than words. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee Nuance Show. The best and perhaps only censored commentary and news show live right now. Flame on. Oh, so thanks for joining me today, folks. Pardon me. I'm still sick. If that's a surprise. I actually didn't get up until an hour ago. So yeah. Not super prepared, but I'm glad you all are here and I can tell you about the news of the day. You know, one thing I did want to ask you, because I've been trying to name things. I think when we name things, we can actually understand them better. There is this phenomenon where you're reading a news story and then there's a video and the video has nothing to do with the news story. And they just put it on the page to, I don't know, maybe get another click or to have a little bit more engagement. But what do you call those videos? Videos that have nothing to do with the story. If anyone has a clever name for them, because I think that they should be named. I find them so annoying. They're so bad. Yeah, I put the title of today's show, Lock Him Up. I have no information on what's happening with Trump. Like I say, I just woke up an hour ago, and so I just needed something to put on the thumbnail. So gotcha. Oh man, I'm just kidding. But that is the question that I was thinking about is, do they believe this stuff? When they tweet stuff, when they say things, do they actually believe it? Now, I'm not talking about Joe Biden, because I don't think he believes anything he says, and I don't think he knows where he is most of the time. So I'm not giving him a pass. I just don't care to talk about him. But like the other day, my senator, Merkley, tweeted something. You know, it's like, oh, it's a international women's something or whatever. And he tweets, you know, trans women are women. And, you know, if you don't think as much, you're a bigot or something like that. We need to include everyone in this. And I don't know if he actually thinks that. I don't know if he actually thinks that that putting on a dress and a wig and some lipstick makes you a woman, if that's all that it is to make you a woman, if that's what, or if you believe you're a woman, if that's what Jeff Merkley's trying to say, my senator. I don't know. I don't know if he actually believes this stuff or if he's just assigned to do it. Is he just assigned to say it? And he's taking orders like a good boy. I suspect it's the latter, but I don't know. I don't know. That is one of the things, is trying to understand if someone is being genuine with their beliefs. And the thing is, we can't read minds, right? We're just not able to do it. We can suspect it, but we just don't know. And so for people that are caught up on like actual facts and stuff like that, it makes it tougher because, most people aren't honest with what they really believe. But if they say it, should we believe that they actually believe it? I don't know. I'd probably have my thoughts organized better if I weren't running a temperature. So anyway, we got a couple stories to get to today. Let me tell you, Joe Manchin, he's mad at Biden. I'll tell you about what that's about. There's an iPhone ban. Where could it be? Stay tuned to find out. See, am I using the tools of the media to get you to stay tuned in? Is that working? Probably not. I have an update from a story maybe a week or two ago about Madeleine McCann. Give you an update on that. There's an Internet Archive lawsuit. I'll tell you about that. I use Internet Archive every day, and every story that I reference in my show, I will leave a link to an archived version of that story in the description of this video. So any of the stories that I talk about today, if you want to go see the source where I pulled that information from, I leave that in the description of every video under sources, and you can go and you can click and you can read it for yourself and find out if I did a good job of summing up the story or not. Often, if you get challenged on something, people want to know your source. So I always cite my sources like a good student would in their term paper. And lastly, I want to talk about wayfinding, and I'm probably even calling it wayfinding is probably wrong, but it's a story about an activity that you can do outside that is good for you, and it seems pretty cool. So stick around for that. Let's get to the first story about Joe Manchin coming up next. All right. Here we go. Joe Manchin. There we go. He is mad. Mad Manchin. Senator Joe Manchin. There we go. Has criticized President Joe Biden for vetoing a bipartisan anti-ESG bill, arguing that Biden's radical policy agenda is being prioritized over the best financial returns for millions of Americans' retirement investments. Now, keep in mind, right, Manchin is a Democrat. Okay, that's important to this story. The bill, H.R. 30, would nullify the Biden administration's Labor Department rules that allow environmental, social, and governance policies to be considered in retirement investing. Manchin believes the administration's campaign to advance a radical social and environmental agenda is exacerbating the challenges faced by Americans in recovering from the pandemic, paying bills among record inflation, and facing the largest land war in Europe since World War II. Yeah, that is a big deal. And it makes you wonder, does Joe Biden actually believe in ESG, or is he just being pushed in that direction? I find it hard to believe that anyone actually buys it if you actually look into ESG. It can't make sense if you have two portfolios of stocks. I'm going to oversimplify this. So then at the end of this, you'll tell me, Tom, you oversimplified it. Yes, that's what I'm doing. You have two stock portfolios. One of them, the emphasis is to make as much money as possible with the least amount of risk. Okay. And then the other one is make as much money as possible as long as each of the companies is working toward environmental, social, and governance rules, including lots of diversity on their board and a lot of other things like that. So you've got these two portfolios that you can invest in for your retirement that you're living off of. One of them, make as much money as possible with the least amount of risk. The other one, we'll try to make money, but we want to make sure that the board is diverse and that they're making sustainable achievements and things like that. It's clear to me. If it's my retirement money, right? I want to make the most money with the least risk. That's what I want. I don't care about environmental, social, and governance things. And what it is it's an easy way to, it's a way to control companies. That's what this is all about. ESG is control. They want to control corporations. And are you saying, Tom, that you don't think corporations should have any control? No, not by hedge fund managers. Hedge fund managers should not have control over other corporations. But apparently, Joe Biden thinks that they should. So it's pretty clear who's pulling Joe Biden's strings. Perhaps I have no direct evidence of that, but it's hard to believe that he came up with this idea on his own. You know, crazy that his first veto would be in favor of hedge funds having influence over corporations. That's the important thing for Joe Biden to stand up for. Not the American people. No. Hedge funds. So, I don't know. I get mad when people say that this tells you all you need to know about something, because they're oversimplifying it, but kind of tells you everything you need to know about this subject. Anyway, I probably could have given you a lot better explanation if I didn't have such a high temperature right now. Anyway, let's get to the next story. All right. Okay. And stick around for the after show, where I will be addressing all of your comments after I play the outro music at the end of this video. And as a reminder, if you're not watching this live, if you're watching this later on YouTube or Rumble or anywhere else, I do time code every story that I do. So if I'm doing a story, you're not interested in the Joe Manchin story, you can click the time code in the description and advance to the next story. So that's something that I set up for you. I wish everyone would do that. Wouldn't it be great if you could do that with your own cable news? If they're talking about a story, I don't like this story, click next. That would be nice. So I'm trying to lead by example here. So the story that I have now is an iPhone ban in Russia. Oh yeah. Russian officials have been instructed by the Kremlin to replace their Apple iPhones with other smartphones over information security concerns by April 1st, according to Russian business publication Kommersant. The officials were advised to switch to smartphones built on Android, Chinese counterparts, or the Russian developing operating system, Aurora. The reported directive comes amid campaign preparations for the upcoming 2024 Russian presidential election. Last year, Apple stopped product sales to Russia after the country invaded Ukraine, but people in Russia reportedly continued to purchase iPhones through legalized parallel import programs. And that's because often, it doesn't exactly work to, just because you don't sell your product in a particular country doesn't mean that they can't get that product. And it is interesting that Russia is concerned about iPhone sharing data, and they're not concerned about Android sharing data. That's interesting, because who would they be afraid of the iPhone data going to? Well, that's an interesting question, and it brings up some questions that you may have if you have an iPhone. If Vladimir Putin is so concerned about people having iPhones because of their data being shared, what do you think that belief is based in? It doesn't appear that he has banned iPhones to somehow punish Apple. No. The ban of the iPhones is specifically has to do with data sharing. So, may give you something to think about if you have an iPhone. I tried having an iPhone. I tried it. Wasn't for me. How about a back button, Apple? How about a home button? Really? You can't give me a home button? I don't know. For me, it didn't work out. This is interesting question. Interesting question. Are you concerned about your phone data being shared with certain governments? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments on that one. And this is kind of interesting because now that I've been doing stories every day, now we have updates to stories. And so that's kind of interesting. The story that I want to update you on is Madeleine McCann. Julia Faustyna, the Polish woman who claimed to be the missing British girl, Madeleine McCann, has failed to match photos of McCann in a facial recognition comparison of the two, according to Swiss AI company AvaX. The company used its iris facial recognition software to compare photos of Faustyna and McCann and found that they did not match. Faustyna has claimed she first heard that she was the missing girl from her grandmother a few months ago, tried to prove her case by sharing physical similarities between herself and McCann, including a distinct brown smudge on each girl's right iris. So, if you remember back when I did this story a couple weeks ago, I predicted that this girl was not Madeleine McCann. Turns out my prediction skills were right on the money, because it would really be far-fetched that this girl goes missing and then shows up in a different country, learns a different language, has no recollection of ever speaking a different language. It's really a hard story to believe. And if something is really hard to believe, you just kind of default to not believing it. So in this case, it turns out that they claim that they are not the same person, and I suspect that irises don't change much over time. The iris of your eye, the little colored area of it. But if they can match people with an iris, that is really, really kind of impressive and scary. at the same time. You could be out in public, and if they could get a good enough picture of your eye, they would be able to identify you based on an eye print. Perhaps, I don't know, but that would really be something. That would really be something. But it turns out not the same girl, just as I think most people suspected. But that is the update. Oh, that's not it. There we go. And let's get to the next story. Okay, Internet Archive. I use this every day. IA, Internet Archive, has defended its practice of digitizing books and lending the ebooks for free, saying that it is a core public good and that no evidence has been produced to show that the publishers have lost any money. The practices have caused 4 major publishers to sue Internet Archive, alleging willful digital piracy. A federal judge, John Colte, will decide whether IA's digital lending constitutes copyright infringement. The debate centers on whether libraries have the right to make a copy of a book that they own and lend it as an ebook without paying more licensing fees. Well, this is a kind of a tough one when you think about it. Here's the idea. A library buys a book, they pay the money for the book, but are they able to lend out digital copies of that book without paying additional money? That's interesting. I know that the music industry wouldn't put up with this at all. They would be forced to pay fractions of a penny, probably to the book producer, and none of it would make its way back to the author anyway, much like it happens in the music industry. But that's an interesting thing. I do, and it all gets down to what is your belief of what is the thing. If I bought a copy of something on vinyl years ago, am I entitled to a digital copy of it today? If you buy a digital copy, can you make many other digital copies? If you bought the digital copy, can you sell the digital copy to someone else and then keep a copy for yourself? This gets tricky. I don't know. I think in the end, I'm pro libraries. I'm pro sharing of information. And it is tricky because I'm really pro-pirate, so I don't want to be a hypocrite in this case. So I am rooting for Team Internet Archive, even though technically the right thing might be to pay an additional licensing fee if you are using a digital copy of something. But I think that libraries, if they buy a digital copy of something, they should be able to loan out a digital copy of it. So I don't know all the specifics. I haven't been really following this story closely. I just read an article and came up with a hot take. So I don't know enough about it. But the Internet Archive really is a fantastic resource. If you need to find it, just Google Internet Archive and you can go to it. And you can find so much awesome stuff that they have preserved online, including lots of books and lots of copies of Internet news stories, such as all of the stories that I've archived today. So you can check that out. You can check that out in the description of this video. You can see an Internet Archive of this actual story. So there you go. And let's get to some good news, shall we? Oh, yes. I think I called it wayfinding before, but I was wrong. I knew I was wrong about that. I knew I was wrong. I called it wayfinding. It's not wayfinding, it's orienteering. That's the issue. Orienteering, it's a sport that combines physical exercise, navigation, and memory. And there we go. What am I doing? What am I doing? Jeez. Navigation and memory, and may prevent cognitive decline related to dementia, according to research from McMaster University. The sport's combination of physical exercise and navigation may stimulate certain parts of the brain and were crucial in hunting and gathering of our ancestors, but not as necessary for survival today. People who participate in orienteering reported better spatial navigation and memory, suggesting that adding elements of wayfinding into regular workouts could be beneficial over your span of your lifetime. Researchers suggested turning off GPS when using a map to find one's way around when traveling and challenging oneself spatially to use a new route to run, bike, or walk to incorporate more orienteering into our daily lives. So what orienteering is the idea is you're supposed to get to somewhere. So there will be a particular spot that you have to find the treasure or whatever, get to the finish. And you will have a compass and some instructions on a paper. And so it'll say, go 50 yards and then turn northeast and then go this direction. So the idea is you're running or walking briskly and you're using a compass and a paper to orient yourself to wherever you are out in nature and following the instructions to get where you're going without using GPS, without having that digital map with you. And what they found is there's a lot of good results for people that are into this. Now, it may also be that people that are really sharp and are really spatial just happen to like this activity. So it doesn't mean that by doing this activity, it's going to improve your skills or it's more beneficial for you mentally, but perhaps a little bit. It's one of those things that you can't say that one causes the other, but orienteering, I don't know. It sounds like a very nerd, fun thing to do, like a nerd dad thing to do. So if you're a nerd dad type, take the kids and go for the hike and don't use the phone, right? Show the kids what a compass is and then counting out your steps. It sounds cool. I would like to try it this weekend. Hopefully I feel a little better. I can go out for a hike, and I'd like to try orienteering. I've never done it before, but I think that would be kind of a fun activity. I'm glad that I learned about it just by trying to find a positive story for you today. And but I don't know much about it. Have you ever been orienteering before? Let me know in the comments. That's all I have today. I am going to go to the doctor here in about an hour and have my lungs checked out and make sure I'm okay, because I've been really bad the last couple of days. So hopefully things will look up and I'm on the uptick. But stick around for the after show. I'll read your comments. And thanks everyone for sticking around thus far. If you have, hit that like button, share it with someone else, and I will see you mañana. Peace. All right. Thanks everyone for sticking around. Again, yesterday, the Rumble seemed to get a lot of views, not live, not live, but afterwards. Rumble got a lot of views. So if you're watching over on Rumble, hit the like button. Let me know that you were there. So that is cool. But let's get to see how things are here. We got all the regulars up at the top, hitting the coffee and the flames and the tiki masks and all the fun emojis in the chat. Miranda says, you sound healthier. I think I may sound a little better. I don't know if I feel any better. Natasha says, it's all theater. I agree. It is all theater. Clickbait. It is absolutely clickbait. But they're asynchronous filler video. Okay. Natasha came up with a term. We could call it asynchronous filler video. That's not bad, although that's hard to remember. That is hard to remember. Clickbait is the term, but it's a very annoying practice. It's unfortunate that it works so well. It is. Merkley is a paid troll. Feckless. I kind of feel like he's a paid troll. I mean, one of the things is, the whole, if it walks like a duck, if it talks like a duck, if it acts like a duck, if it swims like a duck, maybe it's a duck. But the thing is, I don't even think it matters. At that point, if you walk like a duck, talk like a duck, everything like a duck, for all intents and purposes, you are a duck, even if you're not. So if you look like you're a paid troll, and everything about you looks like you're a paid troll, you could be a paid troll. ESG should not be a consideration in investments, nor in picking a pilot or surgeon. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you should not. I would just get rid of ESG altogether. Just because they've given it nice names, I'm not falling for that. Okay. If I just say that I am the greatest news presenter, if I'm the greatest commentary online, it doesn't mean that it's true, right? Now I say this is the best censored news and commentary show. I do say that. That's live right now. I don't know if there's any other censored news and commentary shows that happen to be live at this moment. So, I'm technically correct on that. I'm not sure if there are any others that are live at the moment, so I can say that. I will never buy an iPhone. Android good enough for me. Queen of Thrift. Yeah, I got an iPhone because my folks have iPhones, and I wanted to give tech advice or tech help on that. And I thought if I had an iPhone, I could learn all of the tricks of the iPhone. But then it turned out that I had a different iPhone than they had, and it worked differently, and so it didn't do me any good anyway. But I didn't care for it. I assume my data is always being sold to anyone who is willing to pay for it, no matter what tech company I'm dealing with. That's a good assumption. Tobias was here. That is a good assumption to have. Don't forget to like the stream, everyone. Thank you, Apothecary John. Thank you for the marketing help. Amazon gave me digital copies for all the CDs and tapes I bought. That's interesting. One thing with Amazon that is interesting, I did get a Kindle just so I could learn what the Kindle was like. And one thing that I learned about the Kindle is I can't put anything directly onto the Kindle. I have to go through Amazon to put things onto it. So I have a device at my house, and for me to put an ebook onto my Amazon Kindle, I have to email it to Amazon, and then they magically put it on, through the ether, but I just can't hook up my Kindle, to my Mac and just move files over. I'm not allowed, I can't do that. And so in some cases, if Amazon decided that they didn't want me to have a book, or they didn't they could just delete it off of my Kindle, and there'd be nothing I could do about it. So that's not a big fan of that. When people don't get paid for their intellectual property, does the overall quality of intellectual property start to decline? I don't know. We don't live in a vacuum. So, I don't know. Is the quality of music today better or worse? I mean, it doesn't seem very good at all to me, but that just because, you're an old guy, Tom, you don't, I try to like this music today, and it just doesn't seem to be, a lot of it does not seem to be very innovative at all. So, call me an old pirate, but dubbing cassette tapes always seemed perfectly legit to me. Yeah, I think dubbing tapes is fine. I'm actually very pro pirate. I think that you should try to own your media and not stream it. So if you have music, try to get a copy of the MP3 of that music. To me, and that's what I do with my phone. I teach fitness classes, and I have all my music. I have all my music. I put all the MP3 files on my phone so that I have them. I don't want to go teach a class and have to stream the songs, because there could be an issue there. If I have it just on my phone and I have those files, then there's not a problem. But all the companies today, they just want you to stream everything. I have a question for you, and if you could, you please answer this for me. If you listen to podcasts, do you stream the podcast or do you download the podcast? I'd like to know. Let me know if you download podcasts or if you stream podcasts. I'd like to know that. Let's see. That's musicians go on concert tour. They need to make money because pirates are stealing their loot. Well, the major issue with musicians is they're not the thing is with file sharing and things like that, it's not necessarily proven that is the cause of them not making money. A lot of times people can get a lot more popular because things have been pirated or have been shared online. If you're a band today and you're a local band, you could sell, a couple dozen copies of your album. But if it were put out into the universe, you may have the possibility of your music being picked up or being found by people from all over the world. In many ways that's this. I'm just making this video, but I know that there are people that have watched this show from all over the world, and that's pretty cool. That's because it's streaming and it's free. And so, I don't know. Whatever an artist's intellectual property is protected by the system, it is to protect the publishing corporation profits, not the artist. That's very true. Wayfinding for women is easy. We just ask someone for directions. That's a good one, Natasha. Is it orienteering or orientationing? We called it land nav in the military. Land nav. That's a good term. I like that. Get a salt inhaler, Tom. I will have to see. I'm going to go to my doctor shortly after this broadcast. So hopefully we'll figure out something. I'm happy to hear you say intents and purposes. Many people get that wrong. Yeah, I probably got that wrong for half my life as well. That's the thing, is we learn things just by copying people, and often when we copy things, if we don't think about it, you know, we can just keep repeating things that we heard wrong. You know, an example that I have of this is in German, right? I lived in Austria, and they would say Eglor, Eglor, Eglor. Sounded like egg lore. Eglor is what it kind of sounded like, this phrase or this word, Eglor. And I knew when to say it, but I didn't know technically what the word was, right? And I came back to the U.S. and I was saying it, and people were like, what the hell are you saying? What the hell is Eglor, right? And then my friend figured out what I was actually saying, because at the time I never bothered to ask anyone, hey, what does this word mean? But what I was saying was klar, like that's clear. Hey, that's clear. I knew when to say it, but I never, you know, I was just repeating what I heard. And so because of that, that was pretty funny to learn that I was saying something so wrong, so different. But in German, it was klar. So that's it. So yeah, intensive purposes it's what people hear. And so that's what they say, but it's intents and purposes. Stream, because I can't figure out how to download. Yeah, it seems most people just stream. I play YouTube for songs when I listen to music. A lot of people do just use YouTube as their source. For me, YouTube replaced MTV, and I am the VJ. Very cool. Martin just got here. Nice to see you, Martin. Me too, Lucien. Okay. And careful with salt inhalers. My daughter's upper lip and inside nose. Horrible cold sores. Yikes. Egglor, story of the egg. That is very true. No, basically what I learned, like with that phrase is, you know, people say something, you want to go, yeah, I got it. Yeah, okay. And you just say Egglor, Egglor, Egglor. Turned out they, you know, the pronunciation in that village was the accent was pretty stark. And so in other parts of the country, they said it as klar, you know, which is a good phrase. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for answering my questions. I hope to be feeling better, and I'll probably put a little bit more effort into the show. But until then, y'all have a beautiful day. Till next time, peace.